Welcome all to Lund and Lund University. I'm Annika Olsson, and I'm the Dean of the Engineering Faculty at Lund University, at Lunds Tekniska Högskola, as we say in Swedish. I'm both honored and happy to host this high-level conference, Academia for the Benefit of Society, Meeting Critical Challenges. I will start this conference to introduce our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Erik Renström, who opens this meeting with his welcome greeting.
Honored speakers, guests, and colleagues. A warm welcome to the annual 2021 CESAER meeting. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Erik Renström, and I am the Vice-Chancellor to Lund University. Under normal circumstances, we would have loved to welcome you to a Lund in its autumn glory, with foliage in shades of green and golden. The new Dean at the Faculty of Engineering, Professor Annika Olsson, would have loved to host you and would have proudly shown off everything that Lund has to offer. This year is still different, but the essential parts remain in place, and our mission continues uninterruptedly. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic that has plagued the world for a year and a half, academic institutions all over the world are now contemplating the lessons learned and how to move forward. At this point, Europe stands out as the continent with the most apparent optimism when looking at the future. How did this happen? This is not necessarily the state of mind one associates with our corner of the world. It seems, when facing a crisis, it is a human fundamental need to focus on the light at the tunnel. European politicians have voiced the clearest idea on how to move forward after the COVID-19 pandemic. And the answer is education, research, innovation, and a European Green Deal. And the center stage is occupied by us, the universities. All this is not necessarily news. All these ideas were already there in place in the European research area, the European education area, and the European Green Deal. But it seems that now these movements have coalesced into a strong, cohesive one that defines our time. In the middle of events that will change not only our universities, but also our societies, and hopefully provide us with a future, and a good one, is CESAER. This association of more than 50 leading universities active in science and technology has for more than 3 decades been a strong-voiced and early opinion maker for research, innovation, sustainability, and international integration. This year, 2021, is the beginning of a future that remains uncertain. But we have realized that action and determination need to gain momentum, and we have also realized that the only way is up and forward. These traits also define everything that CESAER stands for. I, and many with me, wish you a stupendous meeting and hope that you will generate new ideas that no one has thought about. Perhaps you will sow the seeds of a better future for all of us.
Thank you so much, Erik. And now I hope that you feel like you are with us here in Lund. I'm now happy to introduce our first speaker, Margot Wallström. She's a Swedish politician of the Swedish Social Democratic Party and a previous EU commissioner. Margot Wallström has not only meant much for us in Sweden and in Europe at all, she has meant a lot to our university as our previous chair of the university board. I look really forward to hear about science diplomacy and how to achieve the UN SDGs by Margot. And now I hand over the stage to you, Margot, and welcome to Lund.
Thank you so much. And I don't know what you have to say about the fact that I'm in Uppsala, at Uppsala University, a competing university, where they are now celebrating 50 years of the Department of Peace and Conflict Research. And this is, of course, an example of what academia can mean to the world. And who can resist an invitation to participate in anything with a title or under the title Academia for the Benefit of Society Meeting Critical Challenges? And I really want to start by saying thank you for everything that you do on a daily basis, for the research that you carry out, for the hard work that you pursue. And I think it cannot be said often enough. Now, to say that we live in perilous times has become almost a banality. Of course, we live with a pandemic or under a pandemic that has claimed millions of lives. At this time, we have again been able to read a report providing overwhelming scientific evidence of climate change happening much faster than anticipated. And the IPCC being a pillar in all of this, with consecutive reports telling us the same story. We live with a backslide of democracy, when for the first time in a decade, more people live in authoritarian, non-democratic states than in countries that are thriving or aspiring democratic states. We can see new threats to security, cyber and hybrid warfare, disinformation, hatred spreading with social media and threats coming from that as well. So the security situation has changed. We also meet nationalistic, militarized, often xenophobic forces gaining ground. And that is also a threat to democracy in the end, and it undermines also the democratic institutions. So that taken together means that multilateralism is also pushed back when countries withdraw from agreements, including weapons control and nuclear weapons, for example. And I would add, in this mix is also the questioning of science and facts. And we are in the midst of that when we are trying to deal with the vaccines against COVID and the resistance to vaccinations as well. And the list can be made longer, but I think it gets too depressing. And also, I think it's important that we argue about the positive things and the development in this world that show the power of engagement, the power of diplomacy, the power of cooperation. The world managed to come together to sign the Paris Agreement, the Agenda 2030 with the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, we have a new president in the United States of America. So that I think will also mean a new climate for cooperation. And I would add, as a former commissioner, that we also have the European Union and our European cooperation. And I think the challenges for the European Union will be to stick together, as is always the case. I also think that we have to be able to show the rest of the world that the European Union can distribute vaccines, for example, fairly and quickly, that we can can implement the so-called Green Deal that has been presented, and include also more visibly maybe the environmental issues as well, and to fight for multilateralism and human rights and insist on upholding the defense for human rights, and to reestablish and strengthen also the transatlantic link. So we are an example of how international cooperation can provide results, good results. Now, I wanted to say something about a project that I have been involved in since time back, and that is with the aim of presenting a report next year. And next year we have a meeting with history, because it was then 50 years since the first UN environmental conference, and it took place in Stockholm. Well, you can say, looking back, that there was not that much concrete that came out of that meeting. Some concerns were presented, and 50 years after, actually, we can say that most of those worries have now been realized. Most of that is true today. What was agreed was the principle of do no harm. And that is not enough to not do any harm, but we actually have to be involved in repairing or preventing further deterioration from an environmental point of view, and disasters as well. And as you know, climate change also exacerbates also environmental risks. So we have engaged with the help of CEPRI, the Peace Research Institute in Stockholm, in a project called Environmental Peace. And we intend to demonstrate to the world, of course, what the situation is of today when it comes to the effects of climate change, but also how they make environmental problem deeper and wider and broader, but also how this affects peace and security in the end. And a visit that I made myself to the Lake Chad area a couple of years back, I think demonstrated this clearly. With Lake Chad having shrunk with almost 90% over since the 1960s, how climate change and the very dry weather that they are experiencing now, and climate also builds new problems, for example, and conflict. The risk of conflict between herders and farmers. And it changes the dynamics in these societies, and I think carries a huge risk. And of course, the fact that the water supply cannot be trusted in the future also means that is a big risk for both social unrest leading to conflict and can become full-blown wars. So we are trying to show that profound environmental change is inevitable in the coming decades, and how it is impacting development, health, the economy, natural resources, livelihoods, and more. And these impacts will continue to grow. And also that this happens with the backdrop of humanity's efforts and to resolve a growing number of conflicts and promote peace, to raise living standards and reduce inequality, to protect human rights, and to recover also from the impact of the pandemic. We have all this taken together, and it will really take an enormous effort from both the academic world to help us with all the facts and all the research and reports that we need, to tell these stories convincingly, to show that these links exist between climate change in the environment and peace and security, but also provide some ideas for solutions. And this is what we have taken on, and we hope that we will be able to present our report in the spring of 2022, and it will try to synthesize the latest knowledge about environmental crisis, peace and security, the interactions, and what works. And we hope we will be able, with your help, hopefully, to speak to both decision makers and the general public to engage them. And we will need also, for example, civil society to contribute. So this is something that I feel is very, very meaningful. And it cannot be done without the close cooperation with academia. And I know that we present enormous challenges to all of you, but we also trust you. We know that we can do so much more with the help of research, and that we need also, as political leaders, we need to fight for you. We need to fight for research. You have a right to your own opinions, but not to your own facts. And we simply have to make sure that you have the necessary resources as well. I will end by saying that when we live in such difficult times, it is both a challenge from an intellectual point of view, because I think that we have to understand that what we are experiencing now will be a chapter in the history books. But it will not be the last. It is not the first, and it will not be the last pandemic that the world sees. And we also live in an age of consequences. We are paying a price for desertification, for deforestation, for creating some of these environmental problems that lead to a pandemic and carries the root causes to a pandemic. And intellectually, to understand all of these factors, the complex world that we live in is definitely a challenge, but also emotionally, because there are so many losses, and these are losses of, for example, biodiversity. And I can tell you from having followed bird lovers at a close range how much sadness there is to see that certain types of birds we will never see again on this planet. But of course, all the people that we know have been lost to the pandemic and to all of these effects of the problems we have created. And I also think that a crisis of this kind brings out the best and the worst in our societies and in us as people. We have seen the cost of inequalities, rich and poor, between men and women, and also the cost of not living in environmental harmony. But we've also seen the love, the compassion, the resolve, the innovation, the capability to be innovative. And this is what we have to take care of and foster and nurture. So who am I to give any advice to anybody? I just think that we should read more books, because that gives us also an ability to try to take on somebody else's shoes, or uses our imagination and innovation. I think we have to learn more languages, because we will one day travel maybe more environmentally friendly, but we will have to travel or meet this way, maybe digitally, and to understand each other. And I think we should do something unselfish. not only take selfies, but do something unselfish, and that will help us along, because we are in this together, and I do believe that we can build back better, and we should do it under this fantastic title of Academia for the Benefit of Society, Meeting Critical Challenges. So thank you very much for inviting me. It has been an honor to be with you this way.
Thank you so much, Margot, for a very insightful speech and thoughts, and also for bringing up the important yet challenging role that we have here in academia. We also very happily listening to you when you speak about collaboration, and we really believe strongly in that is the way forward. So thank you very much for taking part, Margot, and thank you for sharing your time between Uppsala and Lund today. We are very happy that you could take part. And now I will introduce the moderator for this rest of this high-level conference, Mattias Björnman. He's the Senior Advisor for Research and Innovation of CESAER, and notably an alum from the 2012 class of the nanotechnology program here at the engineering faculty in Lund. So I hand over to you, Mattias, and welcome to moderate the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you, Annika. Thank you very much. And also a warm welcome from my side to all participants today. I really like the 3 calls to action that I took note here from Margot: to read more books, learn more languages, and do something unselfish. So we'll see how we can touch upon these during our afternoon together. Our association, CESAER, is celebrating its 30th anniversary year since its foundation in 1990. As part of this, our association has been running a competition where student-led teams from our member universities have been invited to design and showcase concrete examples for how science and technology contributes to sustainability. During this afternoon, we will hear from these 3 finalist teams before the winner of the 20,000 euro prize is announced. The first finalist team we will hear from today is Secondhand Mobility from TU Berlin, led by Carlo Schmid. Carlo and the Secondhand Mobility team, please, the floor is yours.
Amongst all sectors, the mobility sector is the only one with rising emissions. At present, internal combustion engine vehicles make up 96% of all vehicles in the European Union. Making this entire fleet zero emission is one of the greatest challenges of the 21st century. Isn't it striking that we're only discussing whether to use fuel cell electric vehicles or battery electric vehicles to replace our existing ones? It's a fact that producing 300 million vehicles entirely new results in tremendous emissions and use of resources.
The traffic turnaround, as it is discussed right now, does not comply with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, responsible consumption and production.
So why don't we use our existing vehicles and only replace the polluting parts? The concept of converting vehicles to electric has 3 key benefits. First of all, because you don't have to produce the vehicles entirely new, you save up to 50% of the emissions and use of resources in production. Second, for the same reason, it also gets more affordable for the people. Finally, a solution that is affordable to everyone. Last but not least, it means people can keep their old beloved vehicles. Especially here in Germany, vehicles mean a lot more to people than just a form of transportation.
Also nach meiner Meinung ist das Besondere an dem Projekt, dass es wirklich nachhaltig ist. Also dass zum Beispiel hier nicht ein komplettes Motorrad ausgetauscht wird und deswegen sind der Carlo und ich da zusammengekommen und ich habe gesagt, ich werde das unterstützen.
1.5 years ago, I founded Secondhand Mobility, a student-led project at Technische Universität Berlin. I wanted to investigate the feasibility of converting vehicles to electric at high scale. Each semester, 15 students from different disciplines work autodidactically and practically on the project. We needed to prove that the conversion of vehicles to electric does not need to be costly, time-consuming, or be reserved to experts. Over the past 3 semesters, we developed a conversion kit for Simpson motorcycles that enables anyone to convert such motorcycles to electric in just one afternoon.
We are definitely not the first having the idea of converting vehicles to electric, but we might have solved one of the biggest issues that held it back of being a viable option for future mobility. Simpson motorbikes are the most produced scooters in Germany of all time. Our modular conversion kit solution allows us to scale production with little effort, creating a quick, easy and affordable conversion option. When we first started this project, we never would have thought that it would be that easy to convert vehicles in just half an hour, but here we are.
All you have to do is unscrew the old engine, mount our drive unit with 2 screws, replace the seat with 3 screws and replace the throttle. You can even do it on the street without any special tools, skills or knowledge.
These scooters have an outstanding retro design and a part of East German history in them. That's what makes them so extraordinary and iconic. It has a huge fan base who someday won't be able to drive them anymore because of combustion engine bans. But aren't they worth preserving and bringing them back to life and back to the future? If we can prove that our conversion option would be really a way for clean mobility to be more affordable while even cutting emissions in half, this could really kick off a revolutionary, disruptive change in the mobility sector.
Join us in our mission of making future mobility truly sustainable.
Mobility team. We know that these online conferences are different than in-person conferences, and one opportunity for you to engage today is the Q&A function close to the top right corner of your screen. And another opportunity is that later today in the program, you will have the opportunity to directly meet and talk with these 3 finalists, so please stay tuned for that. The excellent example we have just seen, and the ones we will see later today during this afternoon, showcase different ways for how innovation contributes to sustainability. In the broader context, our understanding of the role of academia in society is changing. One example is our evolving understanding around the triple helix model of innovation between academia, industry, and government. To help shine a light on these developments, I now have the pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker, Helen Lawton Smith. She is Director of the Center for Innovation Management Research at Birkbeck, University of London. Helen, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. I also like to say that I'm an affiliate member of Circle at Lund University, and I would love to have been in Lund and meet everybody here and see my colleagues in Lund. But thank you very much for inviting me. I've been working with the founders of the triple helix concept, Luke Lederstorp and Henry Etzkowitz, for many years, which is probably why Luke suggested that I give this presentation. And so I will get on with it now. So this is the research agenda. How can the triple helix approach help build the unsurprising state in which government, universities, and businesses co-innovate to solve societal challenges? And I'll be giving some examples of how that works in practice. And so these examples will look at some of the solutions to societal problems that are being addressed within the triple helix framework, drawing particularly on the role of universities in all of this. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the triple helix model, but just to reiterate, the old understanding of how the state and academia and industry operated were as separate spheres and didn't have any common interests, although we all know that that is a very abstract version of reality going back centuries. And now the triple helix model is this trilateral networks and hybrid organization where there are common interests between academia, the state, and interest. And Etzkowitz and Kai have argued that one of the fundamental features of the triple helix model is that they are taking on the role of others. So there is a convergence in what they are doing over time. So it is an evolutionary model. There are always imbalances in it, according to Etzkowitz and Kai, but it's more than imbalances. Sometimes things don't work out. And the examples I will give are some of the challenges that are being faced with these very good initiatives for industry, universities, and business to work together. So the key elements in this, the key dynamics are boundary spanning, interactive learning, and the evolutionary nature of innovation. So we're looking at changes within the three spheres, but also in the nature of innovation itself, and looking at some of the prospects for future advances. So this triple helix model was first formulated in 1995, and Etzkowitz and Lederstorff worked together since then, but they've also published independently. So what they're arguing is that there is a fundamental change in the structure of relationships between the three institutional spheres and becoming part of the same system. So we're seeing new configurations of institutional forces within the innovation systems, whether they're from government or driven by the universities, from their own particular agenda, which is also informed by the political context in our own countries and within Europe. So it's this idea of opening up insular corporations, universities, and government agencies. And in this latest article that these authors have said is the heightened role of the university in the transition to the knowledge-based economy. So rather than industry and government being at the core, universities are now seen to be central in these relationships. There's been quite a lot of work on whether there needs to be more helices, and triple helices, quadruple helices, but both Henry and Lute in their separate writings have said there's only three core institutions. So civic society isn't the same institutional sphere as universities and industry. So they're arguing that there could be some re-evaluation of the triple helix model, but the triple helix model itself is still a viable option. And the other element that's been stressed in the latest writings by these authors is the growing emphasis on social responsibility as a norm in innovation activities. And that is certainly true of my own university in London, and I'm sure that's true across the members of this organisation. So I'm going to draw on some evidence that interaction capabilities, that the three spheres are working together, that there is this willingness and ability for cooperation within the triple helix. So these are examples of different disciplines because the triple helix model is just not a scientific model. It encompasses the social sciences, humanities, and as you can see from the last one, the food and agricultural sectors, the different disciplines that are involved in that activity. So it is a worldwide model. I was very fortunate in 2006 to go to Ethiopia, and you can see that there was a conference on launching a program to transform university industry government relationships based in Addis Ababa, and we saw some very interesting examples of students working with society, fostered by government policy to make these things work. And clearly there are problems in Ethiopia now that will inhibit this activity, but at the time, as you can see, there was great willingness for it to work. So I'll take the first example. As you know, well, I'm living in Oxford, and we're all, "Hey, come on, Oxford University, you can do it," and it was all very exciting to see Dame Sarah Gilbert on the back of an envelope formulate a vaccine. So their societal problems stopping people contracting and dying of COVID-19. So you can see the universities, the industry, and the government putting £90 million, and this is a while back. And you can also see from this chart that there are 2020 article about how India was also adopting the same kind of strategy to deal with the COVID-19 issue and developments. So it was a brilliant initiative by Sarah Gilbert and her team, but the whole development has been riddled by problems, imbalances, if you like. So there were issues about blood clots and whether it was really dangerous, that it was killing people. So that caused a lot of concern in people about whether to take it or not, have the AstraZeneca one. And then the World Health Organization and the European Medicines Agency cleared it. And there were early issues about how effective it was, particularly in age groups over 65, and the different countries reacted to whether they should give the AstraZeneca vaccine to people over 65 or limit it to people under 65. There are all sorts of issues there. And one of the problems in the relationship with AstraZeneca was not known for its vaccine development, and they seemed to get things wrong. There were trials that went wrong. There were incomplete data, and AstraZeneca suffered reputational damage. We also saw in the UK, we were desperate for this vaccine to be approved, and it seemed to take far longer than necessary. But I think that, again, was an issue of data availability and reliability. But then we had an amazing woman, Kate Bingham, head of the Vaccines Agency, that made sure that the UK was in the lead of buying the right number of vaccines from a number of sources. And then, of course, we've had arguments with EU member governments about efficiency and reliability and supply. So within that triple helix model, there's so much good that came out of it, and we're so grateful. And I'm waiting for my third jab any day now, and it's been brilliant, but it's not a seamless relationship. So my next one is some of my own research. I did some work for the Innovate UK in 2019, was looking at disabled and Black, Asian and minority ethnic entrepreneurs to see what challenges they were faced and what Innovate UK to do to support their future development as entrepreneurs and innovators. So the societal problem we were looking at is how better to support these two groups of people in starting a business and becoming successful entrepreneurs. So the subsequent grant that I got from the Regional Studies Association was to look at the geography of where the networks was that support the innovators and entrepreneurs in both groups, because there is a lack of data about who the networks are, where they're located, where the gaps are, what the issues are in sustainability for funding. Do they have access to government? Do they speak to each other? And so the research was all about importance of place and connectivity to each other and to the government agencies. So this is Birkbeck, and what part of the study was looking to see what other universities are doing in way of practical support. Then the government working with Innovate UK and the all-party parliamentary groups for inclusive entrepreneurship and BAME business people. And then the industry element was the networks which support entrepreneurs and their member entrepreneurs. So this was the background to the study. This is what I did, collected data, interviewed lots of people. We're having workshops now. We had one yesterday, one on Tuesday, one 2 weeks ago, trying to connect people and to disseminate understanding of what the issues are and help inform government policy. So this is some of the data, 63 specialized networks. Some places don't have any activity at all, but there is some connection between density of ethnically diverse people and networks which support them. But there's no common pattern to do with disabled entrepreneurs. So we're looking at the whole nature of these networks and what they do and what the challenges are that they're facing. So this is this evolving triple helix model, and the question we were discussing yesterday is how to overcome the isolation and fragmentation of the systems which support the disabled and ethnically diverse entrepreneurs. So we are pushing forward, but what is the best way? Do we need to organise at the regional level? Does the national government have a crucial role in bringing people together? What is the best way forward to addressing this societal issue? And the triple helix relationship is about addressing those issues, this conflagration of different perspectives and bringing them all together. So that's that one. This is the final slide on that one about lack of sustainability, the lack of cooperation between government departments, and whether universities should have a stronger role in dealing with this particular societal issue. And some universities like Aston University are very strong on dealing with BAME entrepreneurship issues and very active in that. And there's some very good practice for people with disabilities, but there isn't enough in the UK. So this is where the triple helix model needs to evolve. Okay, so this last one, I'm currently working on an OECD project, which is funded by the Danish Business Authority. And what they want, the OECD, the entrepreneurship unit and a policy analysis unit, is to help industry, government and universities to work together to produce more startups and scale-ups that will drive innovation in these three sectors. So food and bio is one of them, advanced manufacturing another, and this energy are the three sector strongholds. There are 14 sector strongholds in Denmark, but we've been asked to look at 3. And this is an example from the food and bio sector. And you can see the societal issues there that about sustainability, better food quality and safety, and animal welfare. And so we've been tasked with interviewing, we've done 30 interviews so far, with universities, with large and small companies, the cluster organisations, and we've been speaking to different parts of the government in Denmark. So the inhibitors in this triple helix model to more rapid progress in the food and bio sector, according to that particular council, that the entrepreneurs, there's a lack of really good entrepreneurs coming through. They need multifunctional competences, but they're not getting sufficient advice. So there needs to be much more support for them, not only people starting their businesses, but also scale-ups. And it's always scale-ups that are the primary issues when dealing with small and medium-sized firms. But also need non-scientific entrepreneurs. Too much emphasis is placed on those that are coming out of universities and with strong scientific backgrounds. But the ecosystem requires other kinds of firms to be part of the well-functioning activities within that sector. Then the universities, I don't know whether anybody's here from Denmark, but one of the issues been raised is about the pressures on universities to publish, produce intellectual property, patents, and universities are perhaps not so good at sharing in these ways forward to enable commercialization within these different strongholds. And this has been a common problem that has been faced. And the example of Sweden is always given, the professor's privilege, and how this commercialization relationship works much better in Sweden than it does in Denmark. And then the government, it's got a key role in coordinating the actors in different fields, provide the funding. It's doing its bit, sorting out the cluster organizations and giving them key roles. And part of our task is to see what more the cluster organizations can do to support these different activities within this triple helix model, within these 3 sectors. So I'm finishing now. I try to emphasize the primary position of the university in the triple helix model as the model evolves. A key objective of the model is generating synergies, these interactions, sharing learning, helping small firms, large firms absorb information from the universities and understanding the regulatory environment and working better with the government sectors. And so the triple helix model has got a really important role in that it directs people to where the data needs to be collected. So fundamental to what this relationship is, what data is available and how is it interpreted and analysed. And then my final point is, yes, it's a wonderful model, but the reality must not be shut out. There are always issues in implementation. And I'm stopping there. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Helen, for that thought-provoking contribution. I'm having a look here. We have, as I said, a Q&A function in the conference platform, and we're also using the hashtag CESAER 2021 on Twitter and on social media. I really liked your departure or your discussion around the growing social responsibility and your second example on the study of networks to support Black and minority ethnic. I know a criticism in the past of these type of models have been the departure point around boosting economic growth, at least in how it's been interpreted by part of the community. So it's interesting to see how it can be applied in the social responsibility context or in other and evolving contexts. A question here. What implications does the evolving triple helix model have for leaders of universities? For example, are tools such as the Technology Transfer Office and Science Parks, which are meant to help facilitate interactions along these lines and helices, fit for purpose for today? Or do you feel they should evolve and they are evolving? And if so, how? What recommendation would you provide to a university leadership based on the findings that you have found here?
I think it's a very interesting question, a very good question. On the science parks, I've got a PhD student just starting, and she's going to be looking at the bioscience parks in the UK. And she will be looking at these social relationships and seeing what social objectives are incorporated into the commercial objectives. So I think there is that greater understanding within the universities. The technology transfer offices, I can't be very positive about the way things are done at Birkbeck, and I know in Denmark there is some criticism of them. I think they do need to be aware of the challenges of sharing information, and that patenting isn't the only way forward for that, because Denmark's in my head because I'm working with it, but we've been told that there are whole basements full of patents in Denmark, and I'm quite sure that other countries have got patents that are sitting idle, and that knowledge could be of benefit to society. So it's hard for the technology transfer offices because they are within the university context, that they've been given a remit and sets of responsibilities to do. So I don't think you can pick on the technology transfer offices without understanding the nature of the university itself and how it sees itself, how it's positioned within society, within their own region and within their own country.
Thank you very much, Helen, and I think that's thought-provoking. In our along our memberships, we know that many of our members are, and we have a task force innovation exploring this as well, looking into different ways of supporting knowledge transfer in the broader sense. So it's interesting to hear your thoughts on this in this area. A second question I have here is related to your last slide about the emphasis that you put again on the primary position of universities in this model. And the question back here is, do you feel that this primary position is being challenged? We have perhaps a little bit of context there, especially from the EU level. We have now in how money is being distributed. We have this European Innovation Council, we have missions, etc. And there have been some discussions with some parts of the institutions that perhaps hint that there's not a full understanding of the important role that universities have in this landscape. So would you say that the primary position is being challenged and we should be working to reinforce our message there to make it clear of the important role of universities in this area?
I've not been party to that debate, so I'm very interested to hear this. I've been guided in my presentation by what Henry and Lut have said, but I'm inclined to believe it because we are in universities being challenged to do so many different things that only universities can do. If you look at the expertise from different parts of the university, whether it's engineering, economics, philosophy, the arts and sciences, we are unique in society and have many responsibilities that could be better utilized. So yesterday, the people from the UK, we had a visitation from the Small Business Charter. So we are, as a business school, encouraged to make it clear how we can support SMEs, that if they want to help with their business plans or they want help with their networking, what can the universities do? So there's that particular kind of activity that we are being challenged to do, but in many other directions. So I think I would support the primary role of the universities because of their uniqueness and qualities and capacity to innovate and change very quickly.
Thank you very much, Helen. And that's fit very comfortably, of course, with one of the core values of our association is really to help promote and safeguard the unique role and responsibilities of universities of science and technology in society. So thank you very much, Helen, for this contribution. It was lovely to have you here today with us.
Oh, thank you very much. I've enjoyed meeting you. So thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Now we move on to the next item on our agenda. This is the second finalist team we will hear from this afternoon, which is Hyperloop. And it's today represented by Robin Köhnlein and Olaf Dünkel from the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. Robin and Olaf, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Matthias, for having us. So first of all, thank you very much for all of you for allowing us to represent our association, Zero Hyperloop, here today. We are from Baden-Württemberg, Germany, and we want to change the future of mobility sustainably. The reason for this is that conventional travel options are often too slow or simply too polluting. As you can see here, a trip from Karlsruhe to Berlin by car takes more than 7 hours, and even by plane it takes more than 1 hour. With the new Hyperloop system, the distance could be covered in up to 35 minutes, and this is what drives us to set new standards here.
Yeah, the Hyperloop describes the concept of passenger capsules levitating through nearly evacuated tubes with almost supersonic speeds. And yeah, the lower air friction allows not only for the higher travel speed, but also for high efficiency of the system. A similar concept was first mentioned in the early 20th century and then again motivated and introduced as Hyperloop in a white paper by Elon Musk in 2013. He created the vision for a futuristic super high-speed transportation system, and especially he motivated students from around the world to develop their designs for Hyperloop by initiating the SpaceX Hyperloop pod competition. When we founded the group last year, we were motivated to work on the future of mobility, especially the Hyperloop concept. But the Hyperloop competition was the framework to build our prototype of a Hyperloop capsule, as you can see here. Our prototype was designed and built within 1 year, and it has basically everything to travel autonomously on an aluminum rail, which serves as a passive track at that stage. And yeah, the prototype contains a linear induction motor, which provides the propulsion force, an aerodynamic shell, which contains all the components, a frame which connects all those different technical components, emergency braking system, an emergency landing gear, and also a guidance system which prevents the pod from moving in lateral direction. Instead of using a traction-based propulsion mechanism, we developed a linear induction motor which allows for contact-free force generation. Our motor not only provides the thrust force to accelerate the pod, but it can also lift up the whole pod. In future, we are aiming at doing further research regarding propulsion and levitation systems in the Hyperloop concept. Providing power and energy for a Hyperloop capsule is also of high concern. One option are batteries, which are kept inside the capsule. We developed all relevant parts for such a battery and integrated this battery in the overall system.
Thanks. During the sessions of the Best Idea Award, we've often seen how important vertical but also horizontal integration is. For this reason, I'm especially proud to be able to work daily in a Hyperloop team with over 68 motivated students. In order to make our Hyperloop concept socially accepted, we count over 12 disciplines in our team to grant a widespread outreach. So from mechanical engineering to computer science or even aviation management, it's all here in our team. Finally, mobility solutions should have to be considered across borders, and for this reason, we cooperate with universities from Baden-Württemberg, such as the KIT or the University of Stuttgart. The reason for this is simply because we want to combine the competences of many experts in one diverse team. And now we can show you what we believe in as a team and how a Hyperloop concept could look like. This is a concept we developed together with Moya Design, and it shows how we think that the Hyperloop transport system in 15 years could look like. So now please enjoy the video. So hopefully you are as excited as I am about the strong mobility of the future. Yeah, and now we're looking forward to your questions in the digital booth afterwards. And thanks again for having us here.
Thank you very much, Robin and Olaf. And I hope that many of the participants will be very happy to come and meet you in your digital booth in the virtual exhibition a little bit later in the afternoon. Thank you again very much. We now continue on our journey to explore the interface between sustainability, innovation, universities of science and technology, and broader society. Our next keynote speaker is Esben Laulund, who is Vice President, External Collaboration R&D at CRH Hansen. CRH Hansen is a bioscience company which for 4 consecutive years has been listed on Corporate Knights list of global 100 most sustainable corporations, including being ranked first in 2019. Esben will share expectations from the world's most sustainable company. Esben, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I have to say that I'm very honored to be invited and also to have this opportunity to introduce to the CESAR audience on how Christian Hansen, a company which was established already in 1874, still can optimize both innovation and sustainability by pioneering microbial science to improve food health and productivity for a sustainable future. And this all under our, you could say, 2025 strategy, Let's Grow a Better World Naturally. Not everyone might be familiar with the name Christian Hansen, but many of you know our taste. In fact, you might already have had a bite of us this morning when having breakfast. Our food cultures are in every second cheese and yogurt in the world, and more than 1 billion people consume our products every day. The products and offerings from Christian Hansen all originate from nature. So in our pursuit to be a leading global bioscience company, we explore the wonders of nature, and in particular, of course, the microbes, and transform them into natural ingredients for the food, nutritional, pharmaceutical, and agricultural industries. We have, over the years, a culture collection of more than 40,000 good bacteria, and I will revert a little what good bacteria are later in my presentation. But just a little about Christian Hansen. So we are a microbial powerhouse with leading market positions across different markets in food, health, and agriculture. We have two business units, one with the food cultures and enzymes, and the other one in health and nutrition. And if I start with the food cultures and enzyme, it's you could say the old original businesses of Christian Hansen, where we produce starter cultures for the dairy industry, so cheese and fermented milks, but also for wine and meat, and also probiotics. And we are engaged in leverage, you could say, this technology platform into new areas like fermented plant bases and also bioprotection. Our health and nutrition division is primarily focused on human health, so probiotics for dietary supplements and also products for the animal health area. We have also recently started producing and developing products for the plant health area, and lately also engaged in a joint venture with pharmaceutical company Lonza on producing live biotherapeutics. And the last addition to this division is actually that we have acquired a company within producing human milk oligosaccharides. So the whole platform of us is within, you could say, fermentation and use of microbes. We have a global reach. I think we are having business in all the countries in the world, more than 150, I think it can be calculated to. We are about 3,700 employees, with a third of them present in Denmark or located in Denmark. But we have facilities, sales offices, application labs and production in more than 30 countries around the world. The business of Christian Hansen is all founded on exploring science, and in our case, with industrialization of microbes from nature. To achieve this goal, we spent a substantial resources within R&D. You could say close to 8% of our turnover is spent on R&D activities. More than 17% of our employees work in R&D or related technical activities. So in the context of CESAR, we really value and rely on collaborations with university in our R&D activities, and we have a worldwide network of scientific collaborations with universities and research institutions. Let me just say a little about how we create value, and of course in all aspects of that, in business and so on, you have to have input. And in our case, it's of course the human capital, our employees. It's the knowledge we have and the capabilities we have in our R&D organization. It's the natural capital. So where do we get our raw materials from? So that's basically our good bacteria. It's about manufacturing capital, our social capital as well. So that's all our relationships, both, you know, from R&D with universities and so on, but also how we work together with customers and regulatory bodies and other stakeholders. And then, of course, also that we have a strong financial capital or basis. All that input is put into, you could say, our value chain, which I think is rather unique in this area. And one of the reasons why we are present in every second cheese or fermented milk in the world is that we have this strong value chain from research and development via our global operation, how we produce our cultures, and then into, you could say, a local sales and application set up where we have contacts to, you could say, the local customers. So we play on both a global level, but also very much on a local level. And you could say the outputs that we come with are, first of all, of course, that we have a strong engaged employee group, but also cutting-edge science we have developed over the years. And you could say strong reputation in our social, you could say, or societal interactions and so on. And all of that has come out to, you could say, a result of a more sustainable food system where we play an important role from farm to fork. So the overall thing is actually that we We would like to, you could say, contribute to sustainability via natural and high-quality ingredients that enable the manufacturers to produce more with less. So our ingredients all play a key role in achieving this goal, and in line with our sustainability goals. And this is in line with our sustainability goals. So let me just introduce how we have been working with these UN sustainability goals and how they have helped us to elevate and truly integrate sustainable development into our business strategy. So back in 2016, our sustainability department decided to map out how Christian Hansen's more than 3,000 products can help solve some of the pressing challenges that the 17 sustainability goals touch upon. It was a huge job and took more than 6 months and resulted in a focus on 3 of the 17 sustainability goals, namely 2, 3, and 12. And I hope that comes up here. Yeah. So it has been a great effort, and we have been able to document that more than 81% of Christian Hansen's turnover contribute directly to the sustainability goals. Our team even went further back, and this is something that we have got the international audit company PwC to revise the message. So it was truly an innovative product. It contributed also, of course, significantly to, as was already mentioned in the introduction, to Christian Hansen being recognized in 2019 as the world's most sustainable company at the World Economic Forum in Davos. The year later, in 2020, we came at the same event and we were recognized as number 2. I share this example today because I think the sustainability goals can be a great framework tool for many companies that would like to strengthen their sustainability efforts or perhaps feel ready to get started. But again, it's important for me to emphasize that sustainability is not a competition. I see it as a responsibility and our obligation to make a positive difference. So as I said before, Christian Hansen have integrated our innovation activities with the quest to contribute to solve some of the global challenges. And I'm highlighting 4 of them here. And if I may just focus on sustainability number 2, about zero hunger, with our focus on agricultural solutions. Sustainability number 11 on responsible production and consumption, with our efforts to reduce food waste. Sustainability goal number 3 with good health and well-being with our probiotic offerings. And finally, also our commitment to sustainability goal 13, climate action, where we have a goal to produce our products from 100% green energy sources by 2025. Let me, though, just first focus on sustainability goal 2, 12, and 3, and what we are doing of activities here. You can see this is actually the line of products that we are offering. So you could say from the sustainability, sustainable agriculture, where we have our offerings for natural plant protection, better quality silage and animal nutrition, into better food production with efficient production, our quality and safety, and less waste through our bioprotection products, and into improved health via supporting health with our probiotics, so healthier food, and a next generation health, where we are working together with Lonza, as I mentioned, about these live biotherapeutics. So that's, this reflects the force in our innovation and impact that we have through our products on addressing global challenges. We believe that what gets measured also gets done, and that's why we have set specific goals within each of the 3 sustainability goals that we focus on. When it comes to sustainable agriculture, we have set ambitious targets to cover 25 billion hectares of farmland with our natural solutions or our natural plant protection solutions by 2025, and that would be equal to the size of United Kingdom. By 2025, we also want that 200 million people, which is how many people currently live in Brazil, to consume our probiotics. And finally, in 4 years, we want to be able to reduce 2 million tons of yogurt waste, which is equivalent to the annual production, the annual yogurt consumption in the US. So if we go into with our offerings for the agricultural area, our culture solutions are used in our products, protects plants from diseases, pest and nematode attacks in an all natural way. Our natural plant protection can be just as effective as chemical pesticides and provide farmers with an efficient alternative or supplement to the use of conventional pesticides. Through our natural solutions, the farmer can maintain and increase crop yield with more safe and natural alternative. Basically, this means that more food can be produced with less chemical pesticides. This could be extremely relevant when considering that we need to feed a growing world population. With regard to reducing food waste, we as consumers have all opened the fridge to find food that has gone bad, whether it is a moldy sour cream or spoiled white cheese, or even worse, unopened yogurt packages whose expiration dates have passed. On a global level, 17% of dairy is wasted. 81 is due to product expiration, crazy numbers. But 30% of yogurt waste could be reduced by extending shelf life by 7 days. The good bacteria we produce in our Fresh Q range help to strengthen the bioprotective effects that traditionally fermentation offers. So bioprotection is a natural way to inhibit spoilage and protect against harmful contamination in food. At Chr. Hansen, we are proud to offer the world's most documented probiotic strains. We have more than 100 years of expertise in the development of probiotics for the human microbiome. Our probiotic strains provide a range of health benefits for people of all ages, ranging from preterm babies to the elderly. A recent study we have carried out in the US showed that 61% of lost work days can potentially be reduced by taking probiotics preventively. At Chr. Hansen, we have worked with CO2 optimization for many years. However, we have in recent years lifted our goals to be on a more ambitious level. We have invested in solar parks in Denmark, and they supply all our Danish facilities and production sites with electricity. 56% of our global electricity utilization are now coming from green energy sources. Our 2025 goal is that this should be 100%. So our microbial and fermentation technology platforms, including our broad and relevant collection of around 40,000 microbial strains, have a game-changing potential. By unlocking the power of good bacteria, we can address global challenges such as food waste, global health, and the overuse of antibiotics and pesticides. Good bacteria play an important role for a sustainable future in the global agricultural and food production in the coming years. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Esben, for your contribution. I'm looking here at my question. One that is popping up is, what are the conditions that make a sustainable corporation thrive? Perhaps more specifically, what do you expect from universities and their researchers and students today to help advance this journey together?
Yeah, well, I first of all would like to see collaboration with them. Of course, I mean, we value very much the interaction we have with the universities and research institutions, and also with students. I would say that we have more than, 50 student projects running every year. We have about 10 PhD projects, PhD student projects that we offer on a yearly basis. So kind of a continuous struggle. So what we would like is, of course, to have you would say, the ideas or the knowledge that you have because you are, in another environment than we are, and have this interaction with universities. I think it is very important, especially for a commercial company that we are. So we value very much this collaboration with universities.
Thank you very much. A second question here is around, I really like your quote around sustainability is not a competition, and we shouldn't see it as a competition. And the discussion around, not a quote from you, but the discussion around, the broad discussion on corporate social responsibility, CSR, not as a bonus, but as part of a core strategy or what you are pursuing. And connected to this, a question is around the challenge in a departure point for a lot of companies and association organizations working on this is reducing and limiting harm versus actively contributing to sustainability. And I think the mapping exercise that CRH Hansen did to see how you are actively contributing to a range of initiatives is very valuable. Was there a challenge to balance between these, to looking at reducing limiting harm versus actively contributing to sustainability?
No, I don't think it was a kind of a competition. I think it has been part of our nature from, way when the company was established back in 1874, where Christian Hansen, which were a pharmacist, found a way to extract and standardize rennet for cheese making from calf stomachs. So we have been working, on nature's products for, close to 150 years. So it has just been it's part of our, you could say, our heritage and also our culture that we have to look on how we can do this, in a most optimal way that can help, you could say, society moving forward. And especially, of course, with the more focus you have on sustainability today, I mean, it has just been a natural route for us to pursue.
Great. Thank you very much, Esben, for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you.
Then we move on in our program, and we've seen here now, those of you who have been comparing to the triple helix, we had Margot, of course, Swedish politician, former vice president of the European Commission and United Nations special representative. We had Helen, academia and ongoing research in this area, of course, and then now Esben from World's Most Sustainable Company. So we touched upon the three parts of the triple helix. Our third finalist team is Blue Engineering, where the student leader Anton Schaefer from TU Berlin will guide us through their project, focusing on ecological and social responsibility. Anton and the Blue Engineering team, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Anton, and I'm the student team leader of Blue Engineering in the CESAER Best Idea 2021 competition. Together with my colleagues Andre, Tora, and Ludger, I'd like to give you an impression of what we as Blue Engineers believe, what we do, and why we would like to spread our cause to more universities. Andre, you have been part of Blue Engineering for more than 10 years. Can you tell us about the ideas at the core of all our activities?
Yes, 10 years ago, I was a student at TU Berlin, and as TU Berlin and many other engineering educational institutes do not offer, and at that time did not offer particularly any courses on social ecological responsibility, we as students set off to create these kind of courses. And we said, well, we don't want to have someone sitting in front of us or standing in front of us lecturing, but we created our own activities, our own ways how we as students would engage not only in discussion, but also in acting to make the world more sustainable, to contribute to social ecological transformation, but also to change gradually higher education. And for this, we created a number of building blocks, and you see some here behind me, just to give you an impression how diverse they are with regard to topics and also with methods. And with these building blocks, teaching, learning units, almost everyone is able to conduct highly demanding courses on social ecological responsibility. And basically that's what we did. And in 2011, we said, well, let's make it a course. And at TU Berlin, it started with a 6 ECTS course in 2011, and now it's spreading more and more to different countries. Tora, what do we do with these building and teaching blocks? How is the course set up in the end?
Yeah, maybe start off with, I'm a student tutor right now, but of course I haven't always been. And 1.5 semesters ago, I started as a student in the Blue Engineering course. And the first thing what was really different was there was no professor. Student tutors guided the whole course. And there was no big exam at the end. We wrote a weekly learning journal reflecting on our learning process. And we had the semester project, which happens later in the semester. And for the semester project, we found teammates and developed our own little building blocks. And this was what the whole course did. And then we facilitated them to each other. And we documented them to pass them on to the participants of future seminars or from other universities. And after participating, I was basically perfectly trained to be a tutor. And now I'm part of the team of tutors. And it is our job to guide the participants through the first weeks of the seminar. And then we completely leave the stage to the participants to shape their own course and take responsibility for teaching each other. And yeah, here in my background, you can see how a Blue Engineering course can look like. And no matter if the students are all in one room together or if they separate to small groups for some concentrated independent work, they are always interacting and engaging with each other. Then came COVID, but we actually managed to create a webinar with the same level of interactivity. In our course, we do not talk to silent black screens. Our students use cameras, they use their microphones. And we didn't only launch an online course, we also created an international English-speaking Blue Engineering course. And thereby, we provide a platform for students from all around the world to learn from each other and with each other and network with each other. Well, and speaking of networking, I guess Ludger can tell us more about that.
Yeah, thank you, Tora. The first generations of Blue engineers have begun their professional careers already. Some are working in industry, some are staying in research and education. As a student, I attended the Blue Engineering course in my undergraduate studies. I worked there as a tutor, and now as a PhD student, I'm offering courses on sustainable design methodology on my own. The network of universities offering Blue Engineering courses grew to 14 universities in Germany, with TU Delft joining us as a 15th university this year. Each semester, we have about 500 participants and around 50 people who are working in teaching, on improving the courses, exchanging with each other, and supporting newly established courses with our best practices and know-how. Now to Anton again.
Yeah, thank you, Ludger. The next decades will be decades of transformation. We need critically thinking engineers who rise to the challenges ahead, engineers with social and ecological responsibility. The Blue Engineering course is designed around these needs. A refined and tested course design, it works for 10 or 200 participants. It can be taught on campus or online and is available in German and English. Now is the time to start a Blue Engineering course at your university. Meet us at the online exhibition during the break or get in touch via our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contributions, Anton and colleagues in Blue Engineering. Colleagues and friends, there you have it. The 3 finalists have now introduced themselves. The next step in our journey this afternoon is the virtual exhibition where you will be able to meet our 3 excellent finalists. In a moment, I will encourage all of you to click on the button Competition Exhibitors in the blue menu on the left-hand side of your screen. After clicking on this symbol, you will be able to meet each of the 3 teams and learn more about their projects. I warmly encourage you to spend a few minutes with each team and discuss with them, and then grab a coffee before coming back to this main conference room at 4:30 local time, Brussels. So please, I invite all of you now to click on the Competition Exhibitors button in the blue menu bar on your left-hand side, and I will see you back here at 4:30 local time, Brussels. Thank you very much, and enjoy the exhibition and meeting of the teams, and I'll see you a bit later. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all took the opportunity to meet the teams and also grab a coffee. For the next steps of our journey this afternoon, we will lift our gaze and attempt to look over the horizon. We will do this in the context of our key technologies, such as quantum and AI, are shaping our future, including in our quest towards a sustainable society. To guide us here, we will have the help of Max Lu, the President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Surrey, and the chair of our Task Force Key Technologies, which is a joint task force between our association and the Royal Academy of Engineering. Max will present the outcome of a joint effort between our association and the Royal Academy. Max, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, Matthias. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to present this brief report. I understood this morning the board of CESAR has endorsed the statements coming out of the Key Technologies Shaping the Future conference. So I think in this case, I'll just highlight some of the takeaway messages so that we can understand what are the bases on which we'll go forward. We're going to drive key technologies to really transform society and changing lives. As we all understand, now we are in the very challenging times ranging from pandemic to climate change. COP26 is coming up fairly soon. And then also we are faced with rapid advances in key technologies. As Matthias mentioned, there's quantum technology, AI, and health, digital health, and so on. So all of this technology will shape our future, but we need to understand, what sort of journey and how we as leaders in education and research can shape that path to the true benefit of society. Therefore, this conference was conceived. I was honored to chair this Key Technology Task Force and then chair the conference that was held on the 1st and 2nd of July this year, supported by the Royal Academy of Engineering and CESAR. It was an online conference. So here we are, the key take-home messages, if you like. I think in order to guide the development, to really safeguard the environment of the key technologies and reaffirming and adhere to our values is very fundamental. So the actions that we, this is the first and foremost, we recommend for our university leaders is to really adhere and promote the scientific integrity first and the academic freedom, institutional autonomy, which is actually consistent with the Magna Carta in Renström that the CESAR network has published, and leave the principles and values and promote responsibility in developing such technologies, the frontier of science technologies in those key areas. And of course, to ensure we have the right policies and procedures to safeguard those activities and to support the effort and promote the application in an ethical way, in accordance with our values in human rights, and empower people and communities to really, use the technology to contribute to the education and to the fair society, and of course to economic growth and well-being and health of our people. Through thought leadership, we thought the promotion of disruptive technologies that can truly provide the solution to global challenges and should be promoted. And second point really is about leadership has to be really translated into sustainable funding, long-term commitment. Because as often we experience, there are lots of initiatives on technologies or research projects that can be kicked off, started, but is not going to see through the beneficial outcomes, and because of lack of commitment or lack of funding. So in a way, as university leaders, we need to commit to long-term support and advocacy for these technologies and their potential to change lives and shaping the future, and to really continue to support our researchers and our academics and also students to understand the social aspects of technology development as well as deployment. And the actions for leaders really is to ensure we have sustainable funding. This is more for policy and government leaders to sustain our commitment to research and innovation. The 3% of the GDP was agreed by the European Council in 2002, when the UK was still a member state. But I think nonetheless, the United Kingdom has a firm commitment to at least 2.4. I think we have a hope that as we go along in the next few years, we'll move also towards the 3%, as the European Council has agreed. The third one is on big data, because we all know we're living in the age of big data. But big data, if you think of data, is powerful. It's like the new oil. I don't like this metaphor, but I think if it's new oil, then we need to really pay attention on how we're going to refine it for the beneficial use, and how we're going to really treat the data, the large-scale data set, the interconnectedness of the whole data world, digital world, as our foundation for key technologies in a way that is responsible, in a way that is ethical. And when we talk about AI, we need to also be cognizant of the fact that we need to really promote the ethical use of AI, the people-centered AI. So in this regard, I just want to take this opportunity to announce that the University of Surrey that I lead as a president is going to launch a Surrey People-Centered AI Institute, precisely is to drive technologies that will understand human diversity, culture, language, and the needs, so that we can truly derive benefit for changing society. So ensure the framework's right, to ensure the inspiration come from people, and then for the benefit of the people, has to be a centerpiece of the development framework for key technologies in this area. The fourth point is really to empower researchers to really assume their role. And key technologies will be shaped by our researchers in the future, and will shape how government researchers, our students and teachers, and how in this ecosystem we're going to really play a significant role in shaping the future, shaping the path of key technology, particularly when coming to key technologies that require multidisciplinary expertise, cross boundaries, and how we're going to break the disciplinary silos to really develop technologies that will truly benefit everyone. So in this regard, I think the actions for university leaders will be to support the career development and then support interdisciplinary research. There are Hong Kong principles for assessing researchers, and also the DORA, which is the San Francisco Declaration on Researchers, to ensure the diversity of researchers, to ensure the responsible use of metrics and the evaluations in our research endeavors, and to also promote institutional self-assessment using the so-called SPACE rubric to assess abilities, to identify and support potential interventions towards successful career development for our researchers in our institutions. Right, last but not least, equality, diversity, which is a theme actually we have experienced, and we really talked about it, debated throughout the two-day conference. equality, diversity, inclusion as the foundation for key technologies. And this is something I just want to repeat, is to really ensure the technology we develop are going to be truly, human-centric and truly beneficial for all people, not just the elite, not just those regions or countries that can afford. So therefore, the equality issue, we all lived through the pandemic, we all observe the digital divide. I think those challenges, we have to keep front and center in our mind when we develop key technologies for the future. So the actions in this area for leaders is really to ensure the achievement of equality, diversity, inclusion through personal leadership, through institutional vigor and the support, and then to really effect societal change. And actions for leaders in government, of course, would include facilitating conversations among citizens. Our new technologies, how we're going to ensure broader effort to educate and engage with the community and commit to achieving literacy, for example, for everyone in key technologies, and including AI and data literacy is a very crucial task for government and community leaders. Right, I think with that, I stop here, Matthias. I'm happy to answer any questions and elaborate further on the details because there's a document we publish, and this has a lot of details on the 4 themes that we constructed the key technology shaping the future conference and the debate and all the contributions. So I'd like to finally take the opportunity to thank the support from CESAR, particularly Matthias, yourself, and also the people involved in the task force and the people who actually participated and contributed to the conference, including many in our audience today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Max, for that. And thank you also from our side, of course, for all your excellent work in leading this, Max. Our association, together with the Royal Academy, we are now working towards finalizing this, and we hope to have full publication before the end of the year. Max, one thing I'd like to raise with you, I see we have a few minutes here, and I'm looking at the different social media and the chat, and so part of the discussion leading up to the conference and also at the conference and after the conference is the balance between when you do this type of horizon scanning and foresighting between taking a negative view versus taking a positive view, looking at the risks being created and the opportunities that artificial intelligence, quantum, etc. bring. Do you think when we try to balance these two, and perhaps in the context also of the center that Surrey is setting up on human-centric pursuit in this area, would you recommend to focus more on one of these areas, or are you trying to create them risk and opportunities at the same level, or trying to build one more than the other as your focus?
Well, I think as already alluded to, in my elaboration of the key messages, it's quite clear from talking to all the key speakers and those who participated in the conference. When we look at any new technology, emerging technology, we will, of course, first focus on what benefit we can derive. And then, when you actually start to develop this and you would look at how you're going to promote this, without understanding the risk, you can't promote it. You can't say, when you develop products, if you don't understand the risk, you can't market it, because the acceptance is quite difficult to gauge. Therefore, you have to simultaneously look at the downsides and look at the risk, particularly when coming to data and AI. We know many examples. Many of the technologies actually met resistance. Previously, the GMO is one typical example. And you have to start at the earliest stage to engage with people to talk about risk and how you manage the risk and overcome the hurdles, so that the downside of any technology will be minimized, and then the upsides will be maximized.
Thank you very much, Max. And I think it's a striking quote from the conference was also that change happens at the rate of trust is what I remember, one of the quotes that we have. And it's really exactly like you're saying, Max, to build towards this and acknowledging and be transparent about potential risks, but of course, working towards opportunities and benefits as our main goal. Thank you very much, Max, for joining us and sharing those thoughts and reflections.
Thank you, Matthias, and good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Now we move from foresight and strategic recommendations in relation to key technologies shaping the future to explore how the social dimension of science and technology is shaping our pursuit of sustainability. To help us here is Antonius Bikas, who is the president of the Board of European Students of Technology, and Theo Nyman, who is the president of the Student Union at the Faculty of Engineering at Lund University. Antonius and Theo, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Matthias. My name is Antonius Bikas, and I am the president of the Board of European Students of Technology.
And I'm Theo Nyman, president of the Student Union at Lund University Faculty of Engineering.
Initially, we would like to thank CESAR for allowing us students to have a few minutes to speak to all of you. And today we have heard many great speakers with some more to come. And with our time, we would like to focus on internationalization and the benefits that come with it in engineering studies.
Yeah, and no one here today is unfamiliar with the international collaboration between universities. We want to focus on student mobility and their opportunity to achieve an international mindset. In order for this environment to exist, we need to focus on supporting student initiatives that foster short exchange programs, as well as create inclusive environments for all long-term international students, meaning studying in one place for a semester or even more. A large reason for studying abroad is for students to acquire unique experiences that broaden their outlook and furnish them with valuable skills and qualifications for their future careers. This is not only achieved through studies, but also by the fact that students are allowed to live and interact in a different culture. This gives the student an opportunity to gain new perspective in social interaction and experience working in groups with different backgrounds. And it's not only the ones who go abroad who are able to take advantage of different cultures. International students bring them with them when they go abroad. We think that faculties should work harder to not only give a good welcoming experience, but also take advantage of the new perspectives brought to their faculties. And there are several aspects to this. Firstly, the international students should be put in contact with the native students. Here, a large exchange of perspectives and experiences take place. We need to make sure it's efficient and that both national and international students are allowed a place and time to build new connections and share perspectives. Secondly, international students can bring the faculty new perspectives. Coming from another country or even another continent, they will have experienced a different education to some degree. If faculties want to gain knowledge about how international students view education and research, they must be allowed and even encouraged to be open-minded and to be critical thinkers. Only then can contributions from international students take place and improve education. Therefore, the existence and inclusion of international students bring added value to the experience of the native students as well, given that they get the opportunity to experience different cultures without even having to leave their country or city. And this leads into a sidetrack, or what I like to call it the language barrier. And this is two-sided, and the faculties here today can help us improve on both sides. The first side is English knowledge for national and international students. It is vital for an efficient exchange that both parties speak English and are comfortable with it. Most research today in science and technology is written in English, so everyone can take part in it. In the meantime, our students don't use English as much in their education, especially in less advanced courses. Faculties should work with implementing more English in our education. And this does not only make the students ready to have conversations on their topics in English, but it prepares them better for the labor market. It also provides an opening to quite a vast amount of information and a more holistic approach to knowledge. The second part of the language barrier is influence. If faculties want to take part in international students' perspective and encourage them to improve their education by sharing their views, faculties must work for a more inclusive meeting environment where English is a primary language used in discussions. There are some issues regarding official languages in governments, and it is understandable that this isn't something that faculties can change. However, that does not mean that we can't work harder with parallel languages and a more inclusive environment in the different organs. I would also like to connect a little bit to what Margot Wallström spoke about earlier today, learning a new language. English might be the easiest way for us to communicate with each other, but if you also make an effort to learn some phrases or words even from people you meet, you will have a better understanding of their cultures as well.
Why are we then here today talking about making the most of our international students? Well, we see an opportunity for universities and faculties to become more progressive. We need people who are not afraid to challenge how we think today. There needs to be room to ask the right questions that initiate action and change. Students, both national and international, are important perspectives to complement the more senior group that we often find in leading positions at faculties and universities. In return, through the educational process, students that have an international mindset come out as better critical thinkers, having a broader scope of the world based on their numerous experiences. They're able to empathize with minorities, predict potential gaps, and plan to bridge them. They use synergy to combine methods and practices that are not commonly seen together. All of those aspects prove to be of immense value for the society, whatever its size may be. The mixture of cultures and a common understanding of their values and everyday lives can create environments of solidarity and reciprocity, consequently giving a boost to collaborative efforts and contributing to the ideation of solutions for societal matters. Students that have experienced mobility programs tend to be more flexible and can adapt to their environment. This way, they accommodate for the rigidness that we more usually see in older ages and keep up with all kinds of different situations and people in today's very fast pace of living. Finally, the youth encompasses people with resolve, passion, and resilience that are looking to lead their peers along several different visions. Young leaders that achieve an international mindset can unite students throughout nations and empower their impact via a diverse network of similarly minded people. We invite you to take the next couple of minutes to reflect on this speech and note down any realistic, actionable points that you believe can be implemented in your faculty and university to enhance the international mindset and support the students that pursue that. Also, please share with us any questions you may have, but also how you believe students can approach faculties in order to collaborate on this topic of internationalization. Thank you very much for having us and for your attention.
Thank you very much, Antonius and Theo. I'm looking again at the different questions here, including on social media. And first question is around good welcoming experiences. We heard from both of you in the importance of supporting exchange programs and how they're happening, and both welcoming new students, but also, of course, learning from them and integrating their new perspectives. I noted down here place and time as two key enablers in this pursuit. Perhaps you could share some reflections. Do you have some concrete examples now when you have the opportunity to speak to the leaders and decision makers and their advisors from 50 plus universities across Europe? How can they help to create the place and the time and the resources? Are there some concrete examples or action points that you would see that they can use as a departure point in this?
Well, I would like to say that we are here studying at the different faculties, and that is the most that we do all day. We study, and why not have international and national students study more courses together? Take advantage of the time we are spending together, whether it's a project, group project work that you need to do with several people. Take advantage of that. Mix the students, both national and international students, and force them into this this group and room where they have to learn from each other and work together.
Thank you.
Additionally, equally as important as the everyday life aspect is also individual efforts made by student organizations that bring together people from different nations. Therefore, there is already the floor. For example, in BEST, we do some 10-day seminars with more than 20 people from different countries. There is this place and time, and the only thing students are asking are support from the faculties for the already existing actions we're taking.
Thank you very much. That's very clear. A second question we have here is around online versus in person, which I find quite fascinating. Of course, in a pre-pandemic time, exchange programs and short exchanges were not exclusively, but perhaps almost exclusively done by in-person physical movement between different contexts and countries. And now, especially during the lockdowns, there was very little physical movement happening, and then the exchange was digital in nature. How would you see in the future? Where should we stabilize? Do you see value in continuing with both, and how can we find a good balance between digital exchange and in-person based exchange? Perhaps Theo first and then Antonius?
Yeah, I really like the idea that you could add more exchange by having the digital alternatives and continue working with them as well. However, I don't think that you get the same exchange of perspectives and learn as much about the different cultures if you don't actually travel somewhere else, or if you actually meet someone from some place else. You need that social interaction that you don't really get over a Zoom meeting to actually learn about different people's cultures and learn about their perspectives.
Thank you. Antonius?
I've had the chance to work for 3 years now in an international network of student organizations, and it is very important to keep in contact throughout the whole time with other people in an online environment. However, it's the true impact of our activities comes when we come together in international events. And especially after the pandemic, it has proven to be a great motivator for youth, not only to enhance cooperation between international students and between different cultures, but also to motivate students to do their everyday tasks better and with more energy.
Great, thank you very much. And I like the last point here as well. It was a clear call from both of you to ensure openness and welcoming at all different levels of education for international students. And of course, it creates a bit of a challenge that Theo also touched upon around English knowledge and English in our education on one hand, but also, of course, like Margot called upon us and invited us to learn more languages and consider engaging with more languages in Europe and beyond. I want to thank you both very much for sharing your reflections with us today. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we are moving towards the announcement of the winner for the Best Idea competition, which I know many of you are eagerly waiting for. But first, I have the pleasure and honor to introduce the distinguished members of the evaluation panel for this year's competition. The evaluation panel this year consisted of Amitava, Babi, Mitra, who is the Executive Director of the New Engineering Education Transformation, so NEET, at MIT in the United States. Sebastian Raneskjöld, who is the Vice President and Pro-Vice-Chancellor International of Flinders University in Australia. And Bertil Andersson, who is the former President of Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. They will share reflections with us around supporting and actioning great ideas and ambitious student-led teams. Babi, Sebastian, and Bertil, please.
Okay, let me start and say, of course, it's a pleasure to join here today at this very special event. But of course, I had hoped to come to my alma mater, Lund University, where I spent more than 10 years, and I even made my PhD. Many fantastic memories, but of course, in this pandemic time, we have to manage with a virtual meeting, and I think that will go fine. Personally, I feel it has been a privilege to be a member of the evaluation panel for the Best Idea 2021 competition. Not only a privilege, but also hard work, I must confess, but maybe most of all, interesting work. I think in this respect, I also talk on behalf of Sebastian and Babi Mitra as well. We should also thank Matthias Björnmalm here, who kept the process in perfect order. Without you, we would have been lost in translation, I say. As I understand, the winning team is soon going to be announced at the end of this session. Of course, it's a very exciting moment for sure. But let me give together with my colleagues, some comments before. And my first statement, I think the most important statement is, I think the Best Idea competition is an excellent activity for CESAR University Network. And that is my main statement. It actually combines innovation, student creativity and engagement, interdisciplinarity, sustainability, international collaboration, cross-university engagement, and also involvement of external stakeholders, including industry. In other words, the Best Idea program ticks many, many boxes. It has been high quality, I would say. I've been sitting in many committees, but it has been high quality. And I would say at least half of the application had a distinct value in various aspects. And the 5 finalists that we worked with this summer was all excellent. Of course, some are more excellent than others. And my opinion is that the winning team is a distinctive winner, gold medalist, and you will know in some minutes. Let me give you a more general statement. University networks are important, but they should also do things and not only talk. I have been a university president for about more than 12 years, and I have been engaged in many university networks on the global scene. So there you can talk to each other and you exchange experiences and practices. But what I have lacked through the years is actually the lack of doing hands-on projects. And in that respect, I've been very much positive to the CESAR initiative here, to the Best Idea. So this is something that the CESAR network is doing right, according to my experience. If I would give any advice on the improvement points, it's to get a broader participation. I felt there were several, there are many universities, and many universities did not participate. Several countries did not participate. Others were participating more. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag, I could say, of engagement. I realized, being a university president, that you cannot force universities to participate here, but I think there should be some carrots and positive arguments for participating. And I guess actually today's ceremony be such a positive input into the CESAR network to inspire others also to participate next year. I guess it's going to be another year as well. So that was all for me. I'm very happy to have been participating in that, and I leave the word to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Bertil, and good morning, everyone. Good morning from Adelaide in Australia. It's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm very, very pleased to be joining all of you. Let me also follow on from Bertil's words and share some of my reflections of being part of this excellent initiative. So, from my perspective, the quality of the submissions were really excellent overall, and I have to say that each of the submissions and the very enticing titles on many of the submissions into the competition really whetted my own appetite to further read and explore the ideas that the various teams brought forward in the competition. And it was indeed a real joy, actually, to learn about some of these ideas and reading and evaluating. And as Bertil said, indeed, it was hard work for us, but also paired with a lot of joy and amazement at the quality and at the ideas and creativity. And personally, I couldn't help but actually share some of the ideas that I read with my family, and also my 8-year-old son, who took some real interest in some of the ideas. And I wish I could share more with you now, but everything will soon be revealed. But isn't that a great sort of, you can engage everyone with these ideas across science and technology. So I'd like to, of course, congratulate all of the students and participants in the teams, and for really bringing out that scientific value so well in the competition, and as I said, in very stimulating and exciting ways. However, as a panel, we also found that the submissions were generally less strong, I guess, in the area of the other dimensions, impact and outreach, and least strong, I guess, in management and implementation. So really exciting around scientific value, but less effort and less strength in the other dimensions. So we reflected a bit on that, and perhaps expected to a certain extent due to the constitution of the teams, students, graduate students, postdocs, but nevertheless, we thought really if we want to achieve that impact that we are looking for to meet the critical challenges in our world, the all three dimensions have to be able to coexist. And so that was kind of I guess the key message I wanted to convey, the necessity for the science and technology education to not only convey the scientific element, but the areas of impact and outreach and management and implementation. And having also worked in various university networks, and I think that's actually the precise role a network can have, the facilitation of activities that engage members in strengthening the science and technology education in this instance. So, and we thought about some ideas that perhaps the network could take forward. And in the case of our finalists, we'd love to see I guess the development, the support from the CESAER network and its members in the development of some final proposals that have really strong business plans and business cases underpinning them. So just to round out, can I please acknowledge CESAER for taking the initiative of putting on the Best Ideas competition, and really making it student-led as well, really essential. So thank you very much from my perspective, and I think a fantastic experience to be part of. And thank you, and I hand over to Babi now.
Thanks, Sebastian. So Sebastian and Bertil have been so efficient with their time that I can go on forever. But of course, I will not. So I do want to say that, and they both said that all will be revealed, not yet. You still have to wait for Professor Marc Zolver, who chairs the CESAER work group that organized the competition, and he's vice president at Vice-Chancellor. So he is the Oscar announcer. We are all just leading up to him. Now, I will say it was quite an experience. I really enjoyed working on this committee. After we met, I discovered that Sebastian and Bertil were both from Sweden. And then I also discovered that Matthias, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who really efficiently and comfortably guided us through this complex process. One of the best taskmasters I've had. I would love to work with you again as a taskmaster. Also came from Sweden. Unfortunately, I didn't learn any Swedish through this process. I was hoping to go to Lund and do that, but maybe some other time. So on to business. So I met all the three excellent and mature teams at the virtual exhibition and, asked them, talked with them. And I came away even more convinced that the CESAER community should really move from the competition, which is, let's identify and recognize and applaud the best idea, to let's identify, recognize, applaud the best idea, and help action it to move forward, right? I think all of us are very clear through this committee that there's enough discussion, there's enough ideas, but there's very little implementation. So that's really what we want to share, if you will, call it a message, call it whatever. And, mentally we're thinking somewhat loosely like the venture capitalist community. When there are startups, they have an idea, they pitch it, they get support in terms of finances and legal and marketing. Sebastian talked about this, that those aspects were weaker in all the teams, and rightly so. No one's expected in school, at graduate school, to learn how to market and do a business, right? You learn that. We thought that CESAER could set up a task force to do this, drawn from all the stakeholders, academia, industry, the scientific establishment, the government sector, associations, and so on. And Bertel, Sebastian, and I thought about this because this was a lot of hard work and good fun. And we would be honored and happy to support that task force, to support any other endeavor CESAER takes to take these great ideas to fruition. And for me personally, it was a tremendous learning experience. Coming from the US to discover the range of abstracts and the depth submitted for this competition was mind-blowing. I really enjoyed participating in this panel. And with that, congratulations to the winners and the team that were identified as excellent and mature, and to all the team that entered this Best Idea competition. Keep on doing this is how you'll move forward. So without further ado, as they say in the US, over to you, Marc.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Babi, Sebastian, and Bertil. And indeed, we're now getting over to Marc. First, let me, on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of our full association, thank you very much to Babi, Sebastian, and Bertil for all your efforts and positive energy that have gone into this competition. It's been a pleasure to work with you and engage with you. Thank you. Next, we have the big announcement we have all been waiting for, to announce the winner of the prize for the Best Idea competition. I'm pleased to introduce Marc Zolver here, who is the chair of our Workgroup Best Idea, which has been steering this competition. Marc is the Vice President for International Affairs at Centrale Supélec Université Paris-Saclay, and a director in our association's board of directors. Marc, please, the floor is yours.
Yes. I repeat. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. And as Babi said, it is the time for the Oscar. Thank you for pass over the floor to me. So as a chair of the Best Idea 2021 work group, it's now my great pleasure and honor to bring the competition to an end and announce the winner in a minute. When we launched the competition just over a year ago, it was a leap into the unknown, as it was the first edition of that kind of competition within CESAER. We were delighted in January 2021 when we received finally over 20 fantastic ideas coming from our members. All the teams impressed the Best Idea 2021 committee work group with their ingenuity, motivation, and determination during the series of workshops and mentoring sessions. Finally, 5 finalists were selected, and each of them has matured enormously during the past year. So the competition demonstrates the huge potential of the next generation of our students to tackle society's critical challenges. On behalf of the Best Idea 2021 work group, we thank all of them for their tremendous efforts. So I would like also to thank our evaluation panel colleagues and friends, Babi from MIT, Bertil from former NTU, and Sebastian from Flinders, for their dedication to the task, their valuable reflections that we will take into account, and for performing the difficult choice of the winner. They selected one team who stood out in particular, although the others have also well performed. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, it's time now to announce the winner of the competition, which is the second-hand mobility team led by Carlo Schmid from TU Berlin. bravo to Carlo and the team, and I met also Paul and Hector in the room of the exhibition room. Bravo! Just before to give you the floor, I would like also to quote the evaluation panel itself. So the panel found UID to be an important and realistic project aiming to facilitate the urgent transition from fossil fuels to electrical vehicles. The teams, your teams, Carlo, your team's approach could be a crucial contributor for rapidly transforming the motor vehicle fleet in the coming decade. So the approach is convincingly described, and the pilot has already been successfully demonstrated and implemented. So the team is now advancing to scale up. The evaluation panel considers second-hand mobility an excellent and mature project across all three dimensions that they have evaluated. First, the scientific excellence. Second, the impact and the outreach. And third, management and implementation. So the evaluation panel commends the teams for the impressive outreach and engagement efforts across the CESAER network with stakeholders and industry partners. This includes the excellent engagement with the end user community, which should be highly commended. End of the quote. Thank you very much, and congratulations to you, and I give you the floor, Carlo, for a few words. Please.
This is incredible. I'm really speechless. I mean, I think this is a huge acknowledgement of all the work all of the students from our team put into this idea and put into the application and into making this idea a reality. Unfortunately, today it's only 3 of us that are here in this conference. It's Hector Alvarez, Paul Hake, and me right now, but I can't wait to tell all the other 36 students that participated in the last 3 semesters. And yeah, obviously I'm super thankful for my team and our university, Technische Universität Berlin, which helped us with several consultancies, and our sponsors, Drivery, Creatize. But obviously, the most important, I'm super thankful for the evaluation panel. It must have been super hard. I can only imagine. I mean, we bombarded you with information and like arguments and pitching and stuff, and all the other teams had so great ideas as well. So must have been really hard. And then, I mean, the whole CESAER team, it's been a super exciting journey, the whole competition, beginning this year with a first application round, followed by workshops from an expert on the other side of the globe who teaches us entrepreneurship between making dinner for his kids and bedtime. So yeah, from everyone inside the CESAER team, amazing effort to encourage student ideas, which are, in my opinion, left unheard way too often. So it's very valuable in from my point of view. And other than that, regarding our project and our idea, I want just shortly to use this opportunity to spread awareness for this concept, obviously, that's already happening right now, but also one of the biggest issues. So there are several startups in Europe which are pursuing this concept of converting vehicles to electric right now, but they are all struggling with one common issue, and that is that politicians might not be aware enough about this alternative. So new electric vehicles are subsidized in many countries, I think in most countries, but in many countries, converted vehicles are not. And this is really crucial for this concept to be implemented at scale. And my only explanation for why this, this paradoxon exists is probably because there isn't enough awareness about this alternative. So yeah, I just hope to contribute to changing that a little bit by saying these words. But thanks a lot, and I'm done. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot to you, Carlo. And just if I may say just one more word, is that the student voice and the student commitment within CESAER is in the big concern of the CESAER Association, and we are very proud and happy to give you this opportunity. And I can announce that we will start a second edition of the competition in the following. We will announce it in the following months. Thanks a lot to Matthias.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you, Carlo, and congratulations again to the whole team of Second-Hand Mobility. Now I will hand back the word to Annika for a final word from Lund before the closure from our president. Annika, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthias, for hosting us and moderating us through this fantastic afternoon. I would like to thank all speakers and participants and also students for taking part in this afternoon. And on behalf of Lund University, I will really thank you so much for today. And also to finish up with this great competition and nomination and prize, of course. It has been an honor for me as a new dean of the faculty here to host the amazing and insightful afternoon. A lot of good thoughts for all of us and from the different speakers. I would now like to give the word to the president of CESAER and director of Ghent University, Rick van der Walle, to conclude the afternoon here with us at Lund University. So, Rick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Annika. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, first of all, thank you for joining us this afternoon for our high-level conference. Of course, we would have loved to have met in person, but although this fact, it was of course also a privilege to host so many of you online. Now, the fact that we meet online just demonstrates basically that we live in extraordinary times, and the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated an already daunting set of what we would call global challenges. I would like to thank all today's speakers for their excellent reflections on our role in meeting these challenges. This valuable input from stakeholders, from academia, from the industry, from public policymakers as well, has provided us with renewed impetus to deliver university's mission to benefit society and to contribute to improved living conditions for people basically all over the globe. We are stronger. I sincerely believe that we are stronger when we work together. We have to work together. And our community of leading universities of science and technology plays a uniting role, and we definitely look forward to strengthening our collaboration long into the future. I am immensely encouraged by the talented students who have contributed to our conference today. And I would like to congratulate all five finalists of the competition Best Idea 2021 for their hard work, for their ideas, for their excellent ideas. And of course, I would also like to congratulate in particular the Second-Hand Mobility team as the worthy winners. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, friends, these youngsters are the ones who are going to make their and our future. And our future, for that reason, because of what we have seen this afternoon, is in good hands. Now, finally, I would like to thank our hosts, Lund University. Actually, this is the second year in a row that we have switched our annual meetings online. And throughout this disruption, Lund has shown unwavering support and flexibility to organize this meeting. We are immensely grateful for their efforts. And I look forward to discussing with many of you tomorrow during our General Assembly. And finally, I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.